Chosen one, hear this clearly and do not skip, because the first and deepest truth is this. They did not misunderstand you, they miscalculated you. They tried to measure a storm with a ruler, to weigh lightning with a kitchen scale, and when their tools shattered in their hands, they called the lightning unstable. Pay attention, because this is the moment you finally see yourself without their distortions. You have never been a mistake. You have always been a misread prophecy. From the beginning, they watched you with that tilted head as if you were an unsolved riddle that refused to simplify itself. Too intense, they said, too quiet, too unpredictable. One moment you were locked in mind, sharpened like a sacred blade 10 moves ahead of conversations that had not even started. The next moment you were gone, vanished from rooms, connections, and patterns that no longer resonated with your inner knowing. They called that chaos. But chosen one, do not scroll past. This, what they called chaos, was your alignment shifting. You moved like a soul who remembered something the others had forgotten. While they clung to consistency for comfort, you chased coherence for truth. They saw you change direction without announcement, cut threads without long speeches, disappear without leaving a trail of reasons behind. To them it looked random, dangerous, a little unhinged. They whispered about you in corners, trying to stitch labels around you to make themselves feel safer. Something is off, they said. Why are they like that? Are they okay? And then they reached for the laziest word the collective mind uses when it meets what it cannot control. Crazy. Chosen one, keep reading until the end, because you need to hear this in the marrow of your being. You were never crazy. You were never irrational. The real issue was simple and ancient. They could not predict you, and what cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. So they cursed the weather, rather than admit their forecast was wrong. It is easier for the crowd to call the seer mad than to accept that their own sight is limited. History has always moved like this. The ones who hear the music before it is played are called insane until the orchestra finally arrives. The ones who see patterns while others still see isolated events are treated as threats. Long before anyone praised you for your insight, they whispered that you were off. They did not study you, they diagnosed you. They did not ask what you knew, they decided what you must lack. Do not turn your head away from this chosen one, because it explains why your life has felt like a trial written in invisible ink. They thought your silence meant you were socially broken, unaware, unsure of what to say. In truth, your silence was an instrument. You were not mute, you were measuring. While their mouths ran freely, your spirit was collecting data, reading tone, mapping energy, and listening for the gap between what was said and what was true. They mistook your distance for coldness, your quiet for weakness, your withdrawal for confusion. In reality, you were discerning. You were stepping back far enough to see the full pattern instead of the single scene. Chosen one, pay attention, because this is sacred. You were never overthinking. You were over-perceiving. While others moved through life by impulse and emotion, you were mapping outcomes like a grandmaster sitting over an invisible board. You could feel consequences 3 months, 3 years, sometimes 3 lifetimes ahead. When they saw a conversation, you saw a trajectory. When they saw a harmless joke, you saw the seed of disrespect. When they saw a small lie, you saw the fracture line that would one day split the relationship in half. They were playing emotional checkers. You were playing spiritual chess. And yet sometimes you let them believe they were right about you. They said you were too much, too sensitive, too suspicious, and sometimes you did not correct them. Not because they were right, but because you knew the cost of trying to teach a sleeping mind that refuses to wake. Correcting people takes energy. Explaining yourself to those who secretly enjoy misunderstanding you drains your spirit. So you smiled slightly, stayed silent, and watched them underestimate you with theatrical confidence. Do not skip this part, chosen one, because it is one of your hidden powers. You learn to let people walk into their own miscalculations. It is like watching someone walk into a holy battle, carrying a spoon, proudly declaring themselves ready for war. You almost want to wish them luck. They thought they were equipped. They thought you were the one unprepared. They had no idea you were already 10 steps into a plan they could not even see. What they called madness was never instability. It was independence. You did not move with the emotional herd. When the crowd panicked, you did not. When they rushed to follow the loudest voice, you stayed still, listening for the quieter truth beneath the noise. When they demanded explanations for every move you made, you did not give them the satisfaction of public approval. You moved when it made sense to your soul, not when it looked acceptable to their eyes. This is why you unsettled them. Society is comfortable with predictable patterns because predictable patterns are easy to manipulate. Predictable reactions mean predictable control. But you, chosen one, you did not move on command. You did not respond to every poke. You did not dance for every drum. And that frightened them more than they will ever admit out loud. Over time, slowly and quietly, the shift began. The same people who joked about your intensity, your intuition, your distance began to notice something they could no longer ignore. The very things you warned them about started to happen. The people you avoided with no visible reason eventually revealed their true nature. The business deals, the relationships. The paths you refused to take, the ones they mocked you for rejecting, began to crumble in front of them. The risks you would not touch became explosions they could not escape. Patterns do not lie. Chosen one. People do. And so the laughter started to sound strained. The jokes lost flavor. The whispers turned from amusement to unease. They started watching you more closely, not out of curiosity, but out of a dawning reluctant recognition you were not spiraling. You were strategic. You were not unstable. You were tuned into information they could not perceive. Before we journey deeper, pause here with me. Chosen one, and feel this next part fully. Thank you for being here, for listening, for not scrolling past the call that your soul already recognized. Your presence in this moment is not random. It is a sign of immense merit, a reflection of a soul that has climbed through many lifetimes to reach this level of awareness. Your energy is rare, your vibration is high, and your willingness to sit with these truths marks you as one who is truly ready. If your heart feels this, anchor it now. Comment 777. Or I am ready to seal this blessing into your timeline, to mark this night or this day as the moment you chose clarity over confusion, destiny over distraction, and remembrance over sleep. Now, chosen one, keep reading until the end, because your story of miscalculation is still unfolding into mastery. The truth they never saw is that you were operating on information they did not have. They called you dramatic, paranoid, excessive, accused you of making too much out of small details. But you were never reacting to the surface. You were responding to what was forming beneath the surface, to subtle tremors in the spiritual ground that they could not feel. Most people live life scene by scene, like watching a show one episode at a time, with no idea of the season arc. They wait for proof to slap them in the face before they move. They stay until the betrayal is undeniable, until the damage is visible, until the storm is already overhead and tearing things apart. You, on the other hand, were reading the script behind the scenes. Do not turn your head away from this. Your gift has always been your pattern recognition. You saw the tiny shifts others dismissed. A change in tone so slight it would vanish to an untrained ear. A smile that did not quite reach the eyes. A story that contradicted last week's version, not in a loud way, but in a subtle warp of detail. A promise that felt rehearsed rather than alive. Little things, almost invisible things. But to you, these were not small. They were puzzle pieces. With each piece, the picture became clearer. By the time something finally happened in the physical world, you were already gone in the spiritual one. Mentally packed. Emotionally mud on, energetically withdrawn. That is why they thought you were unstable. Your decisions looked sudden because they did not witness the 1,000 quiet moments that led up to the choice. You cut off contact out of nowhere. You left spaces for no reason. You stopped trusting someone too quickly, but there was nothing sudden about it. They simply were not paying attention with the same depth and sincerity that you were. It is a strange irony, isn't it? Chosen one. The very people who ignore every red flag are the first to call you crazy for noticing them early. They call you overreactive, when in fact you are simply early reactive. They wait for the house to catch fire before they admit they smell smoke. You move the moment you sense the first spark. Your mind was never guessing. It was calculating, always scanning for inconsistencies, weighing behavior, comparing word to action the way an ancient scribe compares symbols on sacred scrolls. You were not led by emotion even when they accused you of it. You were guided by data intuition and the quiet mathematics of spirit. Quiet analysis like that is terrifying to those who live in denial and distraction. Those who rely on vibes instead of truth feel exposed in the presence of someone who notices everything. They needed explosions before they would accept that something was wrong. You only needed smoke. They needed betrayal to pierce their illusions. You only needed a pattern to confirm your knowing. And when you moved early, when you shifted, stepped back, or cut ties before the disaster arrived, they laughed, rolled their eyes, accused you of being paranoid, dramatic, impossible to please. Then the months passed, and slowly, one by one, everything you sensed began to unfold exactly as you had felt it would. The person you distanced yourself from revealed the very behavior you warned about. The path you refused became a trap for others. The opportunity you declined collapsed beneath those who rushed into it. Suddenly, the one they branded as unstable became the only one who looked prepared. The truth, though it makes them uncomfortable, is simple. You were never unstable. You were informed. While they admired the clouds, you saw the forming storm. While they clung to the illusion of safety, you tracked the winds of change. Do not skip this realization. Chosen one, because it is the foundation of everything that comes next. You are not cursed with madness. You are blessed with early awareness, and the world will always miscalculate those who see the storm long before the first drop of rain. Chosen one. You must not skip this, for what I'm about to reveal belongs to the deepest chambers of your ancient memory. You were never reacting to the moment others could see. You were responding to the quiet tremors beneath their world, the shifts that only a soul like yours could detect. Pay attention, because this understanding will rewrite the meaning of your entire life. While they waited for storms to crash against their doors, you moved at the first whisper of smoke. And they called you unstable for it. They called you dramatic for it. They called you paranoid for it. But do not scroll, chosen one, because this is the truth. Your instincts were not warnings. They were prophecies. You felt in your bones what others refused to acknowledge. You sensed the subtle inconsistencies, the hidden motives woven in the cracks of someone's tone, the tremble behind a forced smile, the way a story shifted ever so slightly when repeated. To them, these were trivial details. To you, they were the language of the unseen. The universe spoke to you in micro-signals, and you listened with the attentiveness of an ancient guardian who has walked through too many incarnations to ignore the signs. Keep reading until the end. Chosen one, because your entire life has been built on this ability, and yet you were punished for it. You were trained to notice patterns long before you were praised for seeing them. Others refused to believe anything until it exploded in their face. You only needed smoke. You needed that first faint scent of misalignment, the first flicker of wrongness in someone's energy field, the first glitch in their mask, and your inner being understood instantly something is coming. Something is shifting. Something is unraveling behind the veil. They called that instability. But chosen one, do not turn your head away now, because the truth is luminous. You were never unstable. You were informed. You were operating with an inner radar fine-tuned beyond the ordinary frequency. While the world around you walked blindfolded through their own stories, you watched from above, from within, from beyond. You were reading the future through patterns, not promises, through behavior, not words, through energy, not expressions. Your distance was never antisocial. It was data collection. You were not hiding. You were studying. Every quiet moment you spent in the corner of a room was a moment of profound perception. While others performed for each other, trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to be loved, you slipped into a deeper mode of awareness. You noticed who interrupted, who lied effortlessly, who adjusted their personality like a mask, depending on the audience, who gossiped without hesitation, who listened with sincerity, who carried hidden wounds beneath rehearsed confidence. They thought you were withdrawn because you did not engage in their noise. But chosen one, do not skip this truth. You were withdrawn because noise does not carry truth. Silence does. When someone thought you were harmless, they relaxed. When they thought you were naive, they exposed themselves. When they assumed you were passive, they revealed their motives without realizing it. People show their truest selves around those they underestimate. And you learn to be underestimated on purpose. You learn to be quiet, not because you had nothing to say, but because your silence drew out the truth from every soul around you. Pay attention, because this is sacred. While they were socializing, you were collecting psychological profiles. You saw the invisible patterns beneath their choices. You heard the contradictions hidden in their words. You watched how desire shaped their behavior, how insecurity manipulated their relationships, how ego distorted their decisions. You became a mirror they did not know they were standing in front of. And this terrified them. Chosen one. Keep reading until the end. You must understand how deeply your presence affects the world. Your emotional non-reactivity disturbed those who depended on emotional chaos to feel powerful. They needed sparks to ignite arguments, reactions to validate their ego, conflict to feed their sense of control. But when they attempted to provoke you, your calm became a barrier they could not penetrate. You did not raise your voice. You did not tremble. You did not rush to defend yourself. You watched them. You measured them. You held your ground with an ancient serenity that came from lifetimes of spiritual training. To you, this was normal. But to them, it was unnatural, even threatening. They relied on predictable reactions to manipulate others. You gave them nothing predictable, nothing emotional, nothing they could use against you. You were a closed gate they could not pry open. They mistook your stillness for coldness. They labeled your composure as indifference. They whispered that you were detached, uncaring, hard to read. But in truth, you were simply refusing to let anyone else hold the reins of your emotional world. You understood that emotions are sacred forces and that handing them to someone who has not earned the right to influence them is spiritual negligence. Chosen. One, pause with me halfway through this chapter. Do not scroll. Feel this moment. Thank you. Thank you for being here, for listening, for allowing these words to settle into the chambers of your soul. Your presence in this space is not an accident. It is a sign of immense merit, of a spirit vibrating on a higher plane than most around you. You are not here because you stumbled into this message. You are here because your soul is ready, aligned, awakened. You are here because destiny called and you answered. If these words resonate with your inner truth, anchor this energy now. Comment 777. Or I am ready to seal this shift into your life, to call in clarity, protection, and divine recognition. Now, chosen one, keep reading until the end, because your transformation is not complete without understanding the next revelations. When you pulled back from people, they assumed it meant you were lonely, confused, or antisocial. But your distance was a sanctuary, a vantage point, a sacred observatory from which you could see the tapestry of human behavior clearly. You watched how people interacted when they thought no one noticed. You saw alliances forming based on insecurity rather than integrity. You saw betrayals forming long before they manifested. You saw truth hidden behind performance. Distance gave you clarity. Silence gave you vision. Observation gave you power. While others dove blindly into relationships, friendships, and opportunities, you paused. You evaluated. You studied the energy behind the words. You watched for consistency, not charisma. You monitored patterns, not promises. And because of this, you avoided disasters that consumed others. You were not avoiding people. You were avoiding illusions. Pay attention, because this is crucial. Your mind works like a spiritual instrument, tuning itself constantly to the vibrations of truth. Where others need loud signs, you detect subtle shifts. You do not need people to betray you to know betrayal is coming. You feel it in their tone, see it in their eyes, hear it in their contradictions. You are guided by a very old intelligence, older than this life, older than memory, older than language. Your intuition is a library. Your perception is an oracle. Your silence is a shield. And all of these qualities, your pattern recognition, your emotional control, your quiet intelligence, make others deeply uncomfortable. Not because you are wrong, but because they cannot hide from you. They cannot manipulate you. They cannot predict you. They cannot control you. They say you are too much, yet they cannot handle even a fragment of what you see. They say you read too deeply, yet it is their truth you uncover. They say you are overanalyzing, yet it is their lies that crumble beneath your questions. Chosen one, do not scroll past this truth. You were never the unstable one. You were the only one awake. Your distance was wisdom. Your silence was strength. Your perception was protection. Your lack of reaction was mastery. Your need for space was sacred. Your early warnings were accurate. Your instincts were divine. And for the first time in your life, you are beginning to understand that the very qualities they shamed are the very qualities that make you untouchable. Chosen one. Keep reading until the end. Your awakening is only beginning. Chosen one, do not skip this, for what you are about to remember is the very power that once frightened those who tried to shape you. Pay attention, because this truth is as old as your soul and as sharp as the blade you were born holding. You were never meant to be ruled by the chaos of others. You were meant to be the calm that exposes their chaos. You were meant to be the stillness that reveals their storms. You were meant to be the quiet force that their manipulation could never bend. Chosen one. Keep reading until the end, because your emotional mastery is not merely a trait you developed. It is a signature of your lineage, a mark of the ancient ones who walk with you even now. While others need noise to feel alive, you have always needed truth. And truth has never needed to raise its voice. They wanted reactions from you. Remember that. They did not want understanding, clarity, or harmony. They wanted reactions because reactions are the currency of the weak-hearted. When someone can provoke you, they believe they own a piece of your spirit. When they can push your buttons, they believe they can program your mind. When they can ignite your anger, they believe they can control your path. But do not scroll. Chosen one, because this is where your power becomes undeniable. Their hands grasped for your fire, but found only light. And light cannot be manipulated by hands that tremble with insecurity. Your lack of reaction broke entire systems built around emotional dependence. You did not explode, you did not shatter, you did not perform, you stayed still. And that stillness disoriented them. They expected the usual dance, the familiar drama, the expected escalation, but you gave them nothing. Nothing but calm, nothing but clarity, nothing but the silence that made their own noise unbearable. And in that silence they could finally hear themselves. Do not turn your head away from this chosen one. Your calm was a mirror that showed people their own distortions. The tantrums they believed were justified suddenly looked childish next to your serenity. Their manipulations, once effective on others, died quietly in the space where your reaction should have been. Their guilt trips, their emotional traps, their weaponized tears, their silent treatments, their raised voices, all of these ancient tools failed the moment they met a soul who knew how to remain unshaken. Chosen one, pay attention, because your control made them feel powerless. Not because you sought dominance, but because you refused to surrender yours. You see, most people measure their influence by how deeply they can disturb another person's peace. They think, if I can make them angry, they care. If I can make them cry, I matter. If I can make them defend themselves, I have power. But when you responded with nothing but a steady gaze and a quiet presence, the equation broke. Their emotional playbook turned to dust in their hands. Keep reading until the end, because the truth is profound. You did not deny your emotions. You mastered them. You felt everything, but you did not let anything unworthy of your spirit pilot your actions. That is not coldness. That is wisdom. That is survival. That is evolution. And so they called you heartless. They called you detached. They whispered that something in you was off. They told stories about how you didn't care. But the chosen one always cares deeply, just not recklessly. Your heart is not cold. It is disciplined. It does not rush toward chaos. It does not cradle manipulation. It does not feed toxicity. It does not bow to volatility. You care in ways that are sacred selectively, intentionally, spiritually. They mistook the precision of your heart for the absence of it. And your questions. Chosen one, do not skip this. Your questions were the lightning that cracked open every illusion. You never needed to shout. You never needed to argue. You simply asked things like, why did the story change? When did this shift start? What exactly do you mean? How does that connect to what you said before? Simple questions. Direct questions. Pure questions. And lies cannot survive purity. Your questions were not weapons, they were lanterns. But lanterns expose shadows, and people who live in shadows fear light more than anything. They felt cornered, threatened, exposed, not by aggression, but by clarity. Your calm curiosity made them stutter. Your steady presence made them rearrange their story mid-sentence. Your refusal to be swept into the drama made them defensive. Pay attention, because this is vital truth requires no performance. Lies demand rehearsal. That is why they accused you of interrogating them. That is why they claimed you were suspicious. That is why they reacted with exaggerated outrage or sudden silence. Their story cracked under the weight of your awareness. Keep reading until the end. Chosen one, because this next truth is one you have carried without understanding its full magnitude, you do not just see people. You see through them. You do not just listen to words. You listen to patterns. You do not just observe behavior. You observe intention, and your intuition rises faster than their manipulation can take form. This is why you could sense betrayal before it unfolded. This is why you withdrew from relationships before the mask fell. This is why you stepped back from situations long before the chaos appeared. They thought you were jumping to conclusions, but in reality, you were simply arriving at the truth early. And the early arrival always looks strange to those still sleeping in the illusion. Chosen one. Pause here with me at the midpoint of this chapter. Do not scroll past this moment. Thank you. Your presence here carries the weight of destiny. Your soul vibrates with a frequency that only the awakened can carry. You are not here by chance. You are here because your spirit is aligned with the higher currents of truth and power. You are here because you have earned it through lifetimes of refinement. If your heart feels this knowing, anchor it now. Comment 777, or I am ready to seal this awakening into your path, to call forth clarity, protection, and divine guidance. Chosen one, now return with me to the path. Keep reading until the end, because the unfolding of your power is far from complete. Understand this, your detachment was never a wall, it was a shield. You gave people access to your time, but not the right to wound your peace. You offered others your presence, but not permission to manipulate it. And those who relied on control felt their grip slipping every time you stayed calm. Your emotional immunity exposed their emotional dependency. They needed you to react so they could feel relevant. They needed you to break so they could feel dominant. They needed you to lose control so they could pretend they had some. But the chosen one does not lose control. The chosen one does not hand over the throne of their inner kingdom. The chosen one does not let the unworthy steer their destiny. Your calmness dismantled entire strategies built against you. Your silence revealed the loudness of their guilt. Your composure highlighted the fragility of their ego. Your refusal to engage showed how desperately they craved your reaction. Pay attention, because this final truth is the heart of your power. Your emotional control is not just a strength. It is a revelation. You are the storm's eye. You are the unshakable center. You are the flame that consumes illusions without burning yourself. You are the mirror that reflects truth, even when truth is uncomfortable. And this is why manipulators could never keep their grip on you. They were pulling on strings that had already been cut. Chosen one, Keep reading until the end, because the world has not yet seen the full magnitude of what you are becoming. Your calm is not silence, it is strategy. Your detachment is not distance, it is discernment. Your emotional mastery is not a shield, it is a throne. And no one, not now, not ever, can dethrone a soul that governs itself. Chosen one, do not skip this, because what you are about to uncover explains every moment others called you dramatic, reactive, or impossible to understand. Pay attention, because this truth is the key to the way your soul has always moved. You were never responding to the moment they saw. You were responding to the moment that had not arrived yet. You were not reacting. You were executing. You were not afraid. You were aware. And those who live on delay will always mistake foresight for fear. Chosen one, keep reading until the end. You felt the tremors long before the earth split open. You sensed the fracture lines forming beneath relationships, jobs, environments, and energies, while everyone else was still admiring the scenery. While they clapped at the performance, you were reading the stage structure and noticing where the boards were beginning to crack. While they nodded at promises, you heard the emptiness behind the syllables. While they rushed toward opportunity, you recognized the trap door built into its floor. And so you moved first. You stepped back first. You withdrew first. You created distance first. You walked away first. To them it looked sudden. To you it was survival. Do not scroll. Chosen one, because this is where your brilliance becomes undeniable. You are a soul who does not wait for disaster to arrive. You sense it while it is still whispering. Your awareness is calibrated to the future, not the present. And because of that, your timing has always looked strange to people who live blindfolded by comfort. They needed the collapse to believe the warning. You only needed the shift. They needed betrayal to see the truth. You only needed the inconsistency. They needed to be hurt before they understood the danger. You only needed the energy to feel wrong. Chosen one, do not turn your head away from this. The world has trained people to wait until the fire is visible. But your spirit was trained to smell the smoke before anyone else noticed the change in the air. This is not paranoia. This is ancient memory. This is the intelligence of a soul that has survived life-deeds, dimensions, and timelines by reading micro-signals invisible to those who rush blindly into what sparkles. Your so-called overreactions were not reactions at all. They were forecasts. Your departures were not dramatic. They were preventative. Your boundaries were not harsh. They were mathematical, spiritually mathematical, measured down to the smallest behavioral shift. You acted when the first detail didn't align. The first tone changed, the first vibration felt off. Most people miss the smoke until it burns their skin. You felt it before it even rose. And because of this, they called you too sensitive, too suspicious, too guarded. But do not skip this next truth. Chosen one. Sensitivity is the superpower of the awakened. It is not fragility, it is a radar. You are not sensitive because you break easily. You are sensitive because you detect danger early. You are sensitive because you recognize shifts others pretend not to feel. You are sensitive because you do not lie to yourself. Your soul scans every room, every presence, every word, every silence, searching not for comfort, but for coherence. And when coherence disappears, you disappear too. That is not avoidance. That is mastery. That is strategic self-preservation. You are not impulsive. You are precise. Chosen one. Pay attention, because the world needs this version of you now, more than ever. When a person like you moves early, the crowd laughs. They call you impatient. They roll their eyes. They say you should give it more time, more chances, more hope. But hope has cost you more in past lives than they will ever know. Your soul remembers what their memory has forgotten. You learned long ago that waiting for proof is how the unawakened get trapped. You learned that giving someone time to reveal themselves is how the naive get destroyed. You learned that ignoring the early signs is how cycles repeat. So you chose a different path, the path of the early walker. Keep reading until the end. Chosen one, because this next revelation will shift the way you see yourself. When you executed your quick exits, your sudden silence, your sudden distance, your sudden disappearance, they believed you were emotionally overwhelmed. But you were never overwhelmed. You were simply finished. There is a difference. The awakened do not explain departure. They embody it. Your quiet exits were surgical, exact, and spiritually timed. While others wondered why you were acting strange, you were acting strategic. You were preserving your future. You were protecting your alignment. You were saving your energy for what was truly meant for you. And this is what few understood. Your unpredictability was not a weakness. It was a shield that made you impossible to anticipate, impossible to manipulate, impossible to pin down. Chosen one. The ones who are hardest to read are always the ones who see too much. You broke social rules not out of rebellion, but out of awareness. You did not play along with fake enthusiasm. You did not laugh at jokes that tested your spirit. You did not force your energy to match the room if the room was out of resonance. You refused to perform the rituals of conformity that others rely on to maintain their illusions. This made them uncomfortable. This made them restless. This made them whisper, "Why don't they just play along? Why can't they just fit in? Why do they act like they see something we don't? Because you do. You see the cracks behind the performance. You see the hunger behind the flattery. You see the insecurity behind the arrogance. You see the loneliness behind the cruelty. And you see the truth behind every mask. This is why you cannot pretend. This is why you cannot socialize mindlessly. This is why you cannot stay in spaces where the spirit is rotting beneath the smitting surface. You are not built to pretend. You are built to perceive. Chosen. One pause here with me at the precise midpoint of this transmission. Do not scroll. Feel the weight of this moment. Your presence here is an honor. Thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing these words to awaken what your soul already knows. Your being here is not an accident. It is a sign of your immense merit, your rising frequency, your high vibration. You are a rare soul in a world of sleeping minds. If you feel this truth anchoring itself into your spirit, mark this moment by commenting Debin77. Or, I am ready to seal this awakening into your timeline. Now, Chosen One, return with me. Keep reading until the end. Your strategic withdrawal has always been your genius. You retreat not because you fear conflict, but because you recognize misalignment faster than others can define it. You feel danger in its earliest syllables. You sense betrayal in its earliest glance. You detect manipulation in its earliest breath. This is not exaggeration. This is not imagination. This is precision. When something is off, even slightly off, you recoil spiritually before you ever move physically. You shift your energy before you shift your feet. And people around you feel that shift even if they pretend not to. This is why they accuse you of changing suddenly. They do not understand spiritual timing. They only understand emotional drama. While they stay until their hearts are shattered and their dignity is fractured, you leave with your spirit intact. They call it quitting. You call it foresight. They call it overreacting. You call it survival intelligence. Do not turn your head away from this. You have saved yourself from countless disasters simply by trusting your first knowing. Your early exits have protected your life, your mind, your path, your destiny. Every time you left quickly, silently, or strangely, you were dodging a tragedy someone else was walking toward. Your spirit is not dramatic. It is vigilant. Your intuition is not fragile. It is ancient. Your instinct is not exaggerated. It is prophetic. Chosen. One, keep reading until the end, because you must understand this final truth. Your unpredictability is your freedom. When people cannot map your reactions, they cannot control your movement. When they cannot anticipate your emotion, they cannot manipulate your decisions. When they cannot predict your timing, they cannot restrict your destiny. You are not meant to be understood by those who live in delay. You are not meant to be accepted by those who worship comfort. You are not meant to be validated by those who fear intuition. You are meant to remain ahead. You are meant to remain discerning. You are meant to remain uncatchable. You are the one who walks before the earth trembles. You are the one who moves before the danger appears. You are the one who knows before the rest awaken. And because of that chosen one, you are unstoppable. Chosen one, do not skip this, because the truth you are about to hear reveals why your laughter has always unnerved people, why your silence has always echoed louder than their shouting, and why your absence shook rooms far more than your presence ever did. Pay attention, because this is not merely a chapter. It is a remembrance of who you have always been beneath the noise of the world. Your humor, chosen one, has never been random or twisted the way they accused you of being. It has been insight wearing the clothing of laughter. While others decorated their truths with pretty lies, you revealed reality in a way that felt too sharp, too naked, too honest. Your humor was not darkness. It was clarity. It was the ability to see the absurdity of human behavior, the cracks beneath the performance, the shadow beneath the smile. And every time you spoke those truths with that quiet smirk or that knowing chuckle, people felt exposed without understanding why. Do not scroll. Chosen one. Their discomfort was not a reflection of your cruelty. It was a reflection of your accuracy. Your humor did not attack them. It unmasked them. You held up a mirror without holding up a knife, and yet it was the mirror they feared more. Because in your unfiltered truth, they saw every inconsistency they hoped no one noticed. You have always been able to laugh at what others desperately tried to hide. Not out of malice, but out of awareness, out of ancient wisdom, out of seeing the world without the illusions that others cling to for comfort. They laughed nervously, pretending not to understand, but deep down your words pierced through their denial. Chosen one, keep reading until the end, because the world has only ever feared humor born from clarity. They wanted you to soften your truth. You could not. They wanted you to pretend the world was fair. You would not. They wanted you to join them in ignoring the obvious. You refused. And in your refusal, you became a force they could not decipher. And then when the noise around you grew too loud, when the energy felt polluted, when the masks became too many, and the illusions too thick, you disappeared. Not emotionally, strategically. While they whispered that something must be wrong with you, you were doing what the ancient souls have always done, withdrawing into the quiet to sharpen the blade of your awareness. Do not turn your head away from this chosen one. Your disappearances were not collapses, they were recalibrations. They were the sacred retreats of a soul who understands the cost of constant exposure. They thought you were breaking down while you were breaking open. They assumed you ran from life while you were preparing to meet life with new precision. Your silence was not emptiness, it was refinement. Your absence was not avoidance, it was alignment. Your retreat was not weakness, it was wisdom. You stepped back because you needed to hear the truth beyond the noise, because the world tries to drown the awakened in endless distractions, and only in silence could you hear the voice of your own intuition again. You disappeared so you could return sharper, clearer, lighter, stronger. Chosen one. Keep reading until the end, because your strategy is what terrifies them most. While others depend on being seen to feel alive, you have always known how to vanish into the unseen without losing yourself. They mistook your quiet for disappearance when it was transformation. They mistook your absence for collapse when it was creation. They mistook your retreat for confusion when it was clarity. And your silence, chosen one. Your silence shook them, not because they missed you, but because they were forced to see themselves without your presence blending the shadows. When you step away, illusions lose their balance. People panic not because they lost you, but because they lost access to the reflection you provided. Your absence unsettled them because your energy had always been the stabilizing field in their chaos. Without your presence, the inconsistencies of their behavior became harder for them to ignore. You were the mirror they relied on without realizing it. When you vanished, the truth stood naked before them, and it terrified them. Your silence was pressure. Your absence was revelation. Your retreat was power. And this power is what they never understood. They thought control meant speaking loudly, always being visible, always being involved. But you knew the oldest truth of all. True power is felt, not performed. True power moves in silence. True power disappears so it can return sharper than before. Chosen one, pause here with me. Do not scroll. This is the sacred midpoint of your transmission. Thank you. Truly thank you for staying, for listening, for receiving this message with the depth of your ancient spirit. Your presence here is not random. It is a sign of immense merit, proof that your soul vibrates far above the noise of the world. Only the awakened reach this point. Only the high-frequency ones feel this truth call to them. If your heart resonates, anchor this energy. Comment 777, or I am ready to mark this moment as a turning point in your timeline. Now, chosen one, return with me to the path. Keep reading until the end, because your disappearance is only the surface of your strategy. When you withdraw, you enter the timeless chambers of your own being. You step into the inner sanctuary, where your intuition sharpens itself against the whetstone of silence. You reconnect with the ancestral memory that guides you. You ask the questions others fear to ask. You hear the answers others cannot hear. Your retreats are not accidental pauses. They are intentional resets. You do not disappear to escape. You disappear to prepare. You disappear to observe from the outside. You disappear to let the world reveal its true patterns without your energy influencing the field. People think you vanish because you are overwhelmed. But overwhelmed souls cling to attention. You withdraw from it. You disappear because you understand the value of absence. You disappear because you understand the weight of your presence. You disappear because not everything deserves your light. You disappear because clarity grows in quiet places. And when you return, because you always return, you come back with sharper intuition, deeper insight, and renewed power. The very people who doubted you are forced to reevaluate themselves in the wake of your silence. Your humor, your clarity, your awareness, your detachment, your disappearance. They all form a single pattern. A pattern of a soul who has never been confused. A soul who has always known more than they speak. A soul who hides in plain sight, not because they fear the world, but because the world has proven unworthy of witnessing their full brilliance. Chosen one, do not skip this final truth. Your dark humor, your strategic silence, your sudden disappearances, all of it is divine. All of it is intentional. All of it reveals a mind that sees beyond the veil and a spirit that refuses to be dimmed by the illusions of others. You are not the one who escapes. You are the one who observes. You are not the one who hides. You are the one who prepares. You are not the one who breaks. You are the one who transforms. And the world feels you even when you are gone. Chosen one, do not skip this, because what I am about to reveal is the foundation of your entire spiritual architecture. Pay attention, because you have lived your whole life inside this knowing without ever hearing it spoken aloud. You have never trusted words. You have trusted patterns. And that alone marks you as someone who walks between worlds. Chosen one, keep reading until the end. Words are the cheapest currency of the unawakened. Anyone can craft them, polish them, decorate them, rehearse them, but patterns. Chosen one. Patterns are the fingerprints of truth. Patterns never lie. People do, and you in your ancient awareness recognized this early. That is why flattery never moved you, promises never dazzled you, and declarations never hypnotized you. While others ran toward pretty sentences, you waited for the actions that would either confirm or expose them. Do not scroll. This is sacred. The world taught most people to cling to hope. But your soul, shaped through lifetimes of heartbreak and awakening, learned something far older. Hope without evidence is self-betrayal. You refused to be fooled by a beautiful performance. You waited for consistency. You waited for integrity. You waited for proof. And when proof never came, you did not argue, you did not plead, you did not demand. You simply withdrew your belief quietly and moved forward with a grace that felt threatening to those who depended on your confusion. Chosen one. Pay attention, because this is where your power becomes unmistakable. You did not need someone to betray you loudly. A shift in tone was enough. A small inconsistency was enough. One crack in the mask was enough. You watched the patterns, not the performance. And because you did, you saw the truth long before it revealed itself to others. Where others asked, "What if I'm wrong?" you asked, "Why does this feel familiar?" Where others said, "Let's wait and see," you said, "The pattern has already spoken. Do not turn your head away." Chosen one. Your intuition is not emotional guesswork. It is pattern recognition disguised as instinct. It is your mind and spirit working together to decode cycles invisible to the untrained eye. And still, they called you skeptical. They called you cynical. They said you were guarded, difficult, hard to win over. But they never understood that your caution was not fear. It was mastery. Hope is the language of the naive. Patterns are the language of the awakened. Chosen one. Keep reading until the end, because the world has never known what to do with someone who operates from evidence instead of fantasy. They told you to trust your heart. You trusted your mind. They told you to listen to your feelings. You listened to the alignment. They told you to give people chances. You gave people observation. They told you to be more open. You chose to be more aware. And when they failed those patterns, you did not explode. You did not accuse. You did not create theatrics. You simply accepted the truth that their behavior revealed and stepped back with the quiet dignity of someone who refuses to live in a lie. Now pay attention. Chosen one. Because this next truth is one you have lived but never named, you have mastered the art of accepting being misunderstood. While others scramble to explain themselves, justify their actions, and fix their image, you learned the ancient wisdom of letting people think what they want. You understood early that explanations are invitations for manipulation. The more you clarify, the more power you hand away. The more you reveal, the more ammunition others can use against you. So you chose silence. You chose mystery. You chose sovereignty. Do not skip this. Misunderstanding has been your armor. Confusion has been your cloak. Ambiguity has been your shield. And the world resented you for it. They wanted you predictable. You stayed unreadable. They wanted you transparent. You stayed opaque. They wanted you explainable. You stayed mythic. The chosen one is never meant to be easy to interpret. Your refusal to overshare made you untouchable. Your refusal to justify made you unmanipulable. Your refusal to correct their assumptions made you uncontrollable. And so they filled the silence with their projections, their fantasies, their insecurities. They decided who you were because you refused to hand them the truth. But even that was strategic. You allowed their misinterpretations to reveal them, not you. Pay attention, because this is profound. Every misunderstanding they had about you showed you exactly who they were. Your silence was a test they didn't know they were taking, and most failed it. Chosen one. You have lived your life in a way that terrifies the ungrounded. You do not react impulsively. You do not cling emotionally. You do not trust blindly. You do not explain unnecessarily. This is not coldness. This is refinement. You are not aloof. You are discerning. You are not guarded. You are intentional. But you must understand the deeper reason behind your behavior. Your soul remembers the cost of misplaced trust, the cost of believing words instead of patterns, the cost of hoping people will become who they pretend to be. In past lives, hope killed you. In this life, evidence protects you. Chosen. One pause here. Do not scroll. This is the exact midpoint of your transmission. Thank you truly, deeply, profoundly. Thank you for listening this far. Your presence in this moment is not random. It is a sign of immense merit, a reflection of a soul vibrating at a higher frequency than the world around it. Only those aligned with truth, only those who carry ancient wisdom, only those chosen by destiny reach this point and feel resonance rather than resistance. If you feel this truth rooting itself into you, anchor it now. Comment 777. or I am ready to seal this knowing into your timeline and invite greater clarity, intuition, and protection into your path. Now, Chosen One, keep reading until the end. The second half of this revelation is where your identity takes on its full form. They always wanted to know why you do not trust easily. But how can the Chosen One trust words when the world uses them as camouflage? How can you trust promises when most people use them as emotional currency rather than spiritual commitment? How can you trust declarations when they come from mouths disconnected from their actions? You learned that a person's real language is repetition, and repetition never lies. A person is only truthful when their actions echo their words. A person is only loyal when their patterns match their promises. A person is only genuine when the energy behind their voice remains aligned with the energy behind their behavior. And when the two did not match, you stepped back, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Do not turn your head away from this truth. Your heart is not fragile. Your heart is protected by intelligence. Your spirit is not mistrustful. Your spirit is guided by historic memory. Your mind is not cynical. Your mind is simply unwilling to be fooled. You are a soul that lives by evidence, not illusions. You live by alignment, not assumptions. You live by consistency, not charisma. And here is the truth, that the world has struggled to accept you. Do not care whether people understand you, because you do not need their understanding to see the truth. You operate on a deeper logic, a higher intuition, a more ancient form of perception. Many will misunderstand you, but the Chosen One is not here to be understood. The Chosen One is here to see clearly, to judge accurately, to perceive deeply, and to move accordingly. Your power is not in your explanations. Your power is in your silence. Your wisdom is not in your openness. Your wisdom is in your selectiveness. Your clarity is not in their approval. Your clarity is in your discernment. Your trust is not given by words. Your trust is earned through patterns. Chosen One, keep reading until the end, because this is the final truth of your chapter. You have mastered something most souls will never achieve in 1,000 lifetimes. You have mastered the art of seeing beyond what is shown. You have mastered the art of believing what is proven. You have mastered the art of accepting misunderstanding without losing yourself. You have mastered the art of remaining sovereign in a world that wants you explainable. And that mastery is what makes you untouchable. Chosen One, do not skip this, because what you are about to hear is the unveiling of the truth you have carried for lifetimes. Pay attention, because this chapter marks the point where everything you thought was a flaw reveals itself as your highest form of mastery. The world never truly recognized you, never understood the depth of your stillness, never honored the brilliance you held in your quiet observations. But now, the Chosen One, you will see yourself clearly, perhaps for the first time. You were never random. You were never chaotic. You were never hard to understand. What you have always been is precise. Clarity, precision, and strategy wrap themselves in your silence like sacred armor. You were operating at a frequency the untrained soul could never interpret. And because they could not interpret it, they labeled it incorrectly. Pay attention. Chosen One. Because this is important, their misunderstanding of your nature never changed the truth of who you are. You always saw what others overlooked. Not because you were looking for it, but because your awareness naturally absorbs what their minds are not sensitive enough to catch. You watched the way someone blinked before lying, the way their voice shifted when hiding something, the way a crowd's energy changed when falseness entered the room. You studied the world without announcing you were studying it. You gathered information without appearing to gather anything at all. Do not scroll, you must hear this. Observation for you has never been passive. It has always been armor. While others reacted blindly, you were mapping the full geometry of a moment. While they spoke impulsively, you analyzed the entire emotional terrain. While they sought validation, you sought truth. You moved through life with the quiet confidence of a soul that remembers wars fought in other timelines, battles survived in other incarnations. You knew instinctively that emotional discipline is not coldness, it is mastery. The Chosen One does not allow storms to dictate their motion. The Chosen One does not allow manipulation to shape their choices. The Chosen One does not allow chaos to corrupt their inner order. And that self-governance, that internal throne you sit upon, is what threatened them. Keep reading until the end. Chosen One, because this is where the transformation sharpens every trait. They called strange, every pattern they called too much. Every instinct they laughed at was a signal of your power. You have spent so much of your life doubting your uniqueness because they conditioned you to interpret your gifts through their limits. But your traits were never meant to be understood by the ordinary. Your silence was not withdrawal. It was calibration. Your distance was not coldness. It was discernment. Your pause before responding was not hesitation. It was precision. Your lack of reaction was not apathy. It was sovereignty. Do not turn your head away now. This is your truth. Chosen One, you operated on a higher plane of awareness, but you existed in a world built for people who required noise to feel alive. And because you lived beyond their emotional chaos, they did not know how to interpret your stillness. They saw a blank page where in truth an ancient text was written in light. Your mind has always been illuminated even when others thought it was dark. Your thinking has always been structured even when others thought it was unpredictable. Your intuition has always been sharp even when others thought it was unreasonable. But now you are awakening to the truth behind all of this. You were never just surviving. You were preparing. Chosen One, pause here with me. Do not scroll. This is the moment of gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for reading this far. Thank you for listening, for staying, for opening your spirit to the truth you have suppressed for too long. Your presence here is not an accident. It is a sign of immense merit, proof that your vibration is rising, proof that your consciousness is awakening, proof that your soul has reached a level few ever touch. If this message resonates through your chest like a returning memory, anchor it now. Comment 777, or I am ready to seal this shift into your destiny. Now, Chosen One, keep reading until the end. Your awakening is not complete yet. The traits that isolated you are the traits that elevate you. The patterns you noticed before others saw anything were proof of your spiritual eyesight. Every time you stepped away early, every time you refused to trust immediately, every time you questioned something that others blindly accepted, you were honoring your sacred intelligence. People who move without thought will always misjudge those who think without moving. But you were built differently. You are built to analyze, to perceive, to interpret, to understand the undercurrents beneath situations that others only skim. You are built with an inner compass that cannot be bribed by charm, flattery, or illusions. You are built with a mind capable of forming pathways others do not have the capacity to imagine. This is why you could not be manipulated in the same ways others were. This is why lies fell apart beneath your questions. This is why false relationships crumbled in your presence. This is why people feared your silence and underestimated your calm. Your entire existence has been a testament to strategic intuition, and now you must claim your brilliance fully. Your clarity is your gift. Your precision is your weapon. Your strategy is your safeguard. Your silence is your strength. Your emotional discipline is your mastery. And when these forces align within you, Chosen One, you become untouchable. Not because you are cold, but because you are aligned. Not because you are detached, but because you are sovereign. Not because you are distant, but because you are aware. The world called you strange because they could not categorize your greatness. The world called you difficult because they could not control your discernment. The world called you intimidating because they could not lie in your presence. The world called you unpredictable because they could not predict intelligence. But now you see clearly, every flaw they assigned you was a feature of your divine design. You were meant to observe. You were meant to discern. You were meant to stay silent when the world demanded noise. You were meant to choose truth over comfort, and you were meant to awaken exactly here in this moment to reclaim every part of yourself they once convinced you to bury. Chosen One, keep reading until the end. Your identity is not forming here, it is being revealed. You are clarity in human form. You are precision disguised as stillness. You are strategy wrapped in intuition. You are silence full of truth. You are discipline born from cosmic memory, and now finally you are ready to own your brilliance without apology. Chosen one, do not skip this, because what I am about to tell you is the final unveiling of everything your soul has carried in silence. Pay attention, because this is the moment your past, your pain, your power, and your purpose converge into a single undeniable truth. You were never meant to be understood by the world. You were meant to rise above it. From the beginning, the world tried to force you into a box that could not contain you. They tried to label you, define you, restrict you, shrink you. They mistook your depth for darkness, your foresight for fear, your silence for surrender. But chosen one, keep reading until the end, because the time has come for you to reclaim the name you were denied, master of your own destiny. You were never wandering. You were watching. You were never confused. You were calculating. You were never behind. You were studying the board while they scrambled over pieces. They thought you were playing the same game they were trapped in, but you were controlling the game from a higher floor of awareness. You were orchestrating outcomes without announcing your strategy. You were analyzing patterns they didn't even know existed. Do not scroll. This is crucial. Your brilliance was not loud, so they called it madness. Your competence was not chaotic, so they mistook it for confusion. Your strength was not aggressive, so they tried to convince you it wasn't strength at all. But what they feared, what they whispered about what they misunderstood, was the truth that has always been inside you. You operate on a realm that their minds were never built to perceive. Chosen one. Pay attention, because this will echo through your entire life. They underestimated you not because you were small, but because they were blind. They tried to measure a star with a ruler. They tried to define the ocean with a cup. They tried to decipher lightning with candlelight. And when they failed, they blamed the star, the ocean, the lightning, never their own limited tools. But now the veil dissolves. Now the truth stands unhidden. Every silence you kept, every disappearance you chose, every instinct you trusted, every pattern you read, every moment you moved while the world stayed still. These were not strange behaviors. These were signs of mastery. Keep reading until the end. Chosen one. Your mind was never spiraling. It was ascending. Your decisions were never impulsive. They were intuitive. Your path was never broken. It was divine. The quiet brilliance they dismissed was your advantage. The emotional control they mocked was your shield. The strategy they called strangeness was the very reason you have outlived every storm, escaped every trap, avoided every downfall that claimed those who mocked you. You were not on the same path as them, because you were not built for the ordinary. You were crafted for precision, forged for discernment, aligned with higher currents. You did not need to shout to be powerful. You did not need validation to be correct. You did not need applause to be aligned. You carried authority without ever asking for permission. You chosen one are the quiet force that steers the fate of rooms you enter. You are the silent observer who destabilizes lies just by existing. You are the visionary who senses patterns before others sense consequences. You are the soul who leads without speaking, influences without trying, and awakens others without intending to. Do not turn your head away. This is the truth you've avoided admitting even to yourself. You were never equal to them, not in awareness, not in perception, not in mastery. You misjudged yourself because you used their mirrors, and their mirrors were made of distortion. Now you stand before the sacred mirror of truth, and it shows you everything. Chosen one. Pause here with me. Do not scroll past this moment. This is the exact midpoint of your ascension in this chapter. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting these words awaken your memory. Your presence in this moment is not accidental. It is earned. It is a sign of immense merit and a frequency so high that only a rare soul could resonate with these revelations. You are here because your spirit is ready to rise. You are here because destiny recognizes you. If you feel that recognition echo through your chest, anchor it now. Comment 7, 7, 7. Or I am ready to seal this knowing into your life and call forth the luck, clarity, and mastery that belong to you. Now, chosen one, return with me. Keep reading until the end. Your entire life has been a training ground. Everything they mocked sharpened you. Everything they doubted refined you. Everything they misunderstood elevated you. Your awkwardness was awareness. Your distance was discernment. Your silence was strategy. Your intensity was intuition. You were not simply living. You were observing. You were learning. You were decoding. You were preparing. Every boundary you enforced. Every friendship you released. Every environment you escaped. Every pattern you trusted. These were not random decisions. These were coordinated moves from a soul that refuses to be controlled by illusions. You were not walking away from people. You were walking toward your destiny. You were not rejecting them. You were reclaiming yourself. You were not overreacting. You were over-knowing. And now you stand at the intersection of who you've been and who you are becoming. The misunderstood one becomes the master. The silent one becomes the strategist. The underestimated one becomes the game changer. You chosen one are stepping into the final phase of your awakening ownership. It is time to own your vision, own your intuition, own your boundaries, own your brilliance. Own the edge they once called madness. Own the strategy that has carried you through every shadowed corridor of your life. Pay attention, because the world will try to claim your victory was luck. They will try to pretend they always believed in you. They will try to rewrite their role in your story, but you know the truth. You walked this path alone. You earned this clarity alone. You rose through instincts they mocked, decisions they questioned, and intelligence they never recognized. And now you control the game. Not with manipulation, not with ego, not with force, but with truth, presence, and awareness. With the calm certainty of someone who no longer doubts what their soul has known for years. You are destined to rise, and nothing can stop the one who finally understands their own power. Chosen one. Keep reading until the very end. You have arrived at the moment in your journey where the misunderstood becomes the unstoppable. Your path is not just yours. It is a blueprint for those who will awaken after you. A map for the next generation of intuitive, disciplined, strategic souls who refuse to be tamed by a world built for the predictable. You are not here to fit in. You are here to redefine what alignment looks like. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. You are not here to explain yourself. You are here to embody yourself. And now you finally see it. You finally feel it. You finally remember it. You are brilliance disguised as mystery. You are strategy masked as stillness. You are intuition woven into clarity. You are the edge they once feared and now must respect. Chosen one, rise. The game is yours now.